The stars above the planet Theron were calm, but inside the walls of the great alien academy, excitement was growing. For the first time in their history, the female-only alien race had discovered something completely new: human males. For years, the Theron had watched other species, learning their behavior, studying their biology, and storing every piece of knowledge. But humans were different, especially the males. They laughed in danger, they cried without shame, and they acted in ways the Theron could not understand. So the Council of Scientists decided on something bold. They created a virtual reality program, one where alien females could enter and interact with simulated human males to learn more about them. But there was a problem. No one wanted to volunteer. The project seemed dangerous, confusing, and maybe even embarrassing. After all, these were male creatures who kissed, hugged, and even flirted, words that made many Theron uncomfortable. Except for one. Her name was Ziria. She was not the strongest or the oldest, but she was curious more than anyone else in her class. She had read every human file, watched every transmission, and even listened to something humans called music. Ziria raised her hand in the quiet hall and said, "I will go." The room fell silent. Her classmates stared. The instructors looked nervous. But no one stopped her. One by one, they nodded. "Very well," said the head scientist. "You will be the first Theron female to step into human interaction." The preparation took days. Ziria was fitted with a neural link helmet. Her brain would connect to the simulation directly there. She would enter a world created to look like Earth. A human male would be generated by artificial intelligence. She would speak to him, observe him, and report back. Everything was ready. Ziria lay down on the soft table, closed her eyes, and felt her mind drift into the digital world. Suddenly, she was standing in a quiet forest. Birds chirped, wind moved through the trees, and in the distance, she saw a small wooden cabin. Inside the cabin, a young man sat on a chair. He had brown hair, soft eyes, and wore simple clothes. He looked real, too real. Ziria took a step forward. "Hello," she said. The man turned quickly. Surprised, "Oh, hi," he said. "I didn't know someone else was in the sim today." Ziria blinked. "Sim?" She repeated. "Yeah," the man said. "Virtual reality test. My name's Liam. I'm testing the new immersive AI setup." Her heart skipped. This wasn't an AI. This wasn't a simulation made human. This was a real person. Something was wrong. Back in the lab, alarms started to blink. The head scientist frowned. "We have a cross-link breach," she said. The system accidentally connected with a real human VR platform. Ziria's mind was now connected with Liam's, and neither of them could log out. Inside the sim, Ziria felt unsure for the first time. "You are not a program," she whispered. Liam raised an eyebrow. "You're not either, are you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she watched him. His movements, his smile, the way he scratched his head when thinking. All of it was different from her kind, but fascinating. "Are you human?" she asked. Liam laughed. "Yeah, I hope so," he joked. "And you?" "You some kind of AI experiment." Ziria didn't know what to say. Should she lie or tell the truth? She looked around. The forest looked real. She touched a tree and felt the texture of the bark. She heard the wind in her ears. This was more than a simulation. It was a shared space of minds, connected across space and time. "I'm not from Earth," she said finally. "But I came here to learn about humans." Liam smiled. "Well, that's a weird pickup line. But okay." She tilted her head. "Pickup line?" she asked. He laughed again. "Don't worry about it." Back in the lab, the instructors were debating. "We need to pull her out," one said. "It's too dangerous." "But look," another whispered, "she's not afraid. She's learning." In the simulation, Ziria and Liam walked through the forest. He showed her how to skip stones in the lake, how to roast imaginary marshmallows, and how to make a joke. She listened carefully, asking many questions. Sometimes she laughed, sometimes she blushed, though she didn't understand why. When the sun set in the fake sky, they sat by the lake, quiet. Ziria looked at Liam. "You are not like the others in our records," she said. "You are gentle." Liam looked confused. "Is that a good thing?" She nodded. "It is." But suddenly, the sky flickered, the simulation glitched. For a second, the forest turned black. Ziria stood up quickly. "Something is wrong," she said, and then she heard a voice from the real world, calling her name. "Ziria," the scientist called. "If you hear this, do not disconnect. We need more time." Liam stood up. "What's going on?" he asked. Ziria looked at him, her eyes wide with worry. "This was just supposed to be a test," she said. "But now it feels real." Liam gave her a soft smile. "Then let's make it count." To be continued. Ziria stood beside the lake, the glowing orange sun sinking below the trees. But in her mind, alarms were ringing. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She had trained for weeks to meet a fake human, a digital copy, a controlled test. But this man Liam, he was not part of the simulation. He was real, and worse, their minds were now deeply connected. Her thoughts and feelings could leak into the simulation, and maybe so could his. Liam, on the other hand, still didn't fully understand. He thought this was just some strange VR experiment, some weird new AI model thrown into the test for fun. "Are you okay?" he asked, looking at her with concern. "You went quiet all of a sudden." Ziria didn't answer right away. She was trying to process everything, the gentle tone in his voice, the way he looked at her, not with fear, not with anger, but with kindness. She had studied thousands of hours of human behavior videos, but none of them had prepared her for this moment. "I don't know what to say," she replied softly. "This isn't part of the plan." Liam chuckled. "That's life, I guess." He said, "Plans go out the window the moment something real happens." That made her think real. The simulation, built by the Theron Academy, was now a meeting place between two minds from two worlds. Back in the lab on Theron, the scientists were arguing. "She's bonded with the human mind," said one of the technicians. "We can't just pull her out now." "But what if the link grows stronger?" said another. "We don't know how. This will affect her brain." The lead scientist stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We observe, only step in if there's danger." Inside the simulation, Liam stretched his arms and looked up at the stars. "They look real," he said. "Even if I know it's all code." Ziria looked at him. "You're kind." "Do you always enjoy illusions?" Liam smiled. "Sometimes. Illusions help us feel what we're too scared to face in reality." His words hit her harder than she expected. She had come here to analyze him, but he was making her question her world, her rules, her purpose. They walked along the lake in silence for a while. The night air in the simulation felt cool. The stars above seemed endless. Ziria finally asked, "Why did you volunteer for this VR test?" Liam shrugged. "I was bored, to be honest," he said. "Lost my job 2 weeks ago. Girlfriend broke up with me. Thought I'd distract myself." "Distraction," Ziria repeated, trying to understand. "You use false worlds to run from pain, don't you?" he replied. "Or are aliens better at staying strong all the time?" She looked down. "We are trained not to show feelings," she said. "Emotions are seen as weakness." Liam laughed, not in a rude way, but with warmth. "Then your people have never felt love, have they?" Ziria froze. "Love," she whispered. "I have read about it, but it is not logical." He tilted his head. "Maybe not, but it's real, and sometimes real things don't need logic." Suddenly, the world around them shimmered again. A glitch passed through the trees like a ripple in water. Leaves vanished and reappeared. The lake flickered like a broken mirror. Liam tensed up. "Did you see that?" Ziria nodded. "Yes, the simulation is unstable. It was never designed for a real human mind to be inside." "What happens if it breaks?" he asked. "Do we die?" "No," she replied. "But we may lose parts of ourselves when we wake up. Memories, emotions, even identity." Liam went quiet. He looked into her eyes. Then we better make this count, he said. He held out his hand. Come on, I want to show you something. Ziria hesitated. In Theran culture, physical touch was rare and only shared during bonding ceremonies or emergencies. But something in his eyes told her this was neither danger nor ritual. It was trust. She reached out and took his hand. Together, they walked to a nearby hill. At the top was a strange human structure, an old amusement park. Broken and rusted, yet somehow, the lights were still on. This place, Liam said, was from a memory I uploaded into the system long ago, a childhood trip. Ziria looked at the faded signs and flickering bulbs. It looks sad, she said. Maybe, Liam replied. But sometimes the saddest things hold the best memories. They sat on an old Ferris wheel, the seat swaying gently. The stars above them and the hum of machines made the world feel oddly peaceful. Ziria, Liam said suddenly, his voice serious. You're not really from Earth, are you? She hesitated, but then gave a small nod. I knew it, he whispered, smiling. You're too curious, too honest to be a program. Ziria looked at him. Does that frighten you? No, he said. It makes this the most interesting day of my life. But before she could say anything else, the world around them shattered again. This time, it didn't stop. The simulation was collapsing. In the Theran lab, flashing red lights signaled the critical failure. The scientists scrambled to stabilize the neural link. Inside the sim, trees broke into pixels. The sky turned black. The lake exploded into code. Liam, Ziria said, reaching for him, stay with me. I'm not letting go. He shouted back, their hands locked, even as the world fell apart. Around them, to be continued, *, the simulation was falling apart. Bits of trees vanished into floating lights. The stars cracked like glass. And the Ferris wheel under Ziria and Liam's feet began to groan and glitch. Ziria had never been trained for this. Her job was to observe, collect data, and leave quietly. But now she was holding a real human's hand while their shared world was breaking. Back in the Theran Academy lab, chaos filled the room. We have to disconnect her. One of the technicians yelled. Her brainwaves are sinking too deep with the human system. No, the head scientist ordered. Let her stay. We need to know what happens when connection becomes emotion. Ziria and Liam ran down the hill. Avoiding collapsing paths and flickering lights, she activated the emergency override commands in her mind, but nothing responded. The simulation was no longer under her control. Where are we going? Liam shouted over the sound of digital thunder. There's a reset chamber on the far side of the map, Ziria replied. If we reach it, I might be able to stabilize the system. Liam didn't fully understand, but he trusted her. That trust made Ziria's chest feel warm, confused, and strangely alive. As they ran, the ground beneath them blinked in and out. One step could be real, the next could be empty space. Liam stumbled, but Ziria caught him. Thanks, he said, looking at her with wide eyes. You don't seem like someone who came here to hurt me. I didn't, she answered quickly. My people just wanted to understand human males. That's all this was supposed to be. But you're learning more than you expected, aren't you? Liam said with a half-smile. Ziria paused. Her mind screamed to stay neutral, to think like a scientist. But her heart, something she was told to ignore, was whispering the truth. Yes, she admitted. You make me ask questions I never thought of before. They finally reached a glowing tunnel made of floating light shards. Inside was a control panel, shaped like a circle, filled with alien symbols. Ziria placed her hand on it. Her fingers trembled. I need time, she said. This code is breaking fast. Liam nodded and turned around. He stood by the tunnel's entrance, guarding her without being asked. That one small action made something click inside her. He wasn't like the videos, or the reports, or the distant transmissions. He wasn't just a subject. He was real, unpredictable, flawed, and still kind. As she worked, Liam glanced back. So tell me something, he said. What do your people really think about humans? Ziria hesitated. They think you are emotional, unstable, and dangerous. Liam raised an eyebrow. Sounds fair. He chuckled. But now you've met me, do you agree? She looked at him, her hand still glowing on the panel. I think. You are emotional, yes, but not dangerous. Not yet, he teased, and she almost smiled. But then, the tunnel trembled, and a new voice echoed through the simulation. Ziria, it called, cold and mechanical. Your time is over, disconnect. Now, it wasn't Liam, it wasn't even from Earth. It was the Theron Academy, sending a forced recall command. No, Ziria whispered. I'm not ready. The control panel beneath her hand started glowing red, meaning override had been activated from the outside. Liam stepped closer. What's happening? They're trying to pull me out, she said, panic in her voice. They think it's dangerous to stay connected with you. Well, it kinda is, Liam said, but maybe dangerous things are the ones worth remembering. Her eyes locked with his. In that moment, she realized something shocking. He had been the one teaching her, not the other way around. She was the scientist. But he had made her feel curiosity, trust, and now sorrow. The idea of leaving him behind made her chest ache. Ziria made a decision. She reached into the code with her mind, risking neural feedback, and locked the exit door. In the lab, red alarms blared louder. She blocked us out. One technician gasped. She overrode the Academy's control. She's bonded, the head scientist said quietly. Emotionally, inside the simulation, Ziria turned back to Liam. We don't have much time, she said. But before I go, I need to know if humans met my kind, would they hate us? Liam thought for a moment. I think they'd be afraid at first, he said. But if they met someone like you, they'd understand. You're not so different. Ziria's hands began to glow, a sign her time was ending. The system would collapse soon, but before it did, she stepped forward and placed her hand gently on Liam's chest. This was never just a trial, she whispered. It became real. The world began to fall apart, this time for real, not in code, but in feeling. Her body began to break into light, particle by particle. Liam watched her go, his voice shaking. Will I ever see you again? Ziria didn't know the answer, but before she vanished, she said one final word, maybe, then she was gone. Back in the lab, Ziria's eyes snapped open, gasping for air. Her body shook, her mind raced. But her first word was soft. Liam, to be continued. Ziria sat upright in the recovery chamber. Her chest rose and fell fast, like she had run miles. The helmet had been removed, but her mind still felt like it was floating between two worlds. Scientists surrounded her, checking her vitals, scanning her brain, asking rapid questions. Ziria, can you hear us? What did you experience? Did you feel pain? Was the human dangerous? But Ziria stayed quiet. Only one name echoed in her mind, Liam. She hadn't expected it. She hadn't been trained for it, but that human had reached into her heart in a way no one from her own world ever had. We need to delete the session, one technician said, before the memory imprint grows stronger. Ziria's eyes snapped open. No, she said sharply. You will not erase him. The room fell silent. The lead scientist approached slowly, her expression unreadable. Ziria, we cannot allow emotional contamination to cloud your judgment. This wasn't contamination, Ziria replied, her voice shaking. It was understanding. The scientist frowned. You were there to observe him, but somehow he observed you. That truth hit harder than any machine could. Ziria stood up, still weak but determined. I want access to the full simulation logs, she demanded. I need to study what happened, not just as a scientist, but as someone who lived it. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Liam awoke in a sterile white VR lab, blinking against the bright lights. He found himself surrounded by humans in black uniforms and white coats. Mr. Liam Carter, a stern voice said, we need to ask you some very important questions. Liam's head pounded, but he nodded slowly. I already know what you're going to ask, he muttered. Yes, she was real. You interacted with a non-human intelligence inside your simulation. How? I don't know how, Liam said, but I know it wasn't a game. She had thoughts, feelings, even fear. The agent exchanged looks with the others. We've never seen anything like this before, he said. A two-way neural link between species across the stars. Liam sat up, his face more serious now. So what happens next? That depends, the agent replied. Do you still think she was a threat? Liam smiled. No. I think she was the most honest being I've ever met. Back on Theron, Ziria studied the memory logs for hours, replaying every detail of their time together, the way Liam had protected her, even without knowing who she truly was, the way he laughed, cared, asked questions she couldn't answer. Each moment sparked something deeper inside her. It wasn't just interest anymore, it was something else. Something dangerous to her kind. She walked to the Academy's central chamber, where high elders and professors gathered for a special council meeting. We told you this experiment was risky, said one elder. Now your mind is altered, Ziria stood tall. My mind is not broken, it is expanded. Then tell us, another elder said. What did you truly learn from the human male? Ziria paused, her voice soft. That logic builds walls, but emotion builds bridges. The room stirred. Some whispered in agreement, others in disapproval. Do you wish to continue communication with the human? The lead scientist asked. Ziria nodded. Yes, but the experiment is over. One elder protested. The connection is closed. Then open it again, she said. This time, not as an experiment, but as a meeting. The council fell into silence outside the chamber. Others had begun to whisper about her Ziria, the female who broke protocol for a human male. Some called her reckless, others called her a visionary. On Earth, Liam sat in a quiet government room, offered coffee in silence. An old scientist sat beside him, his eyes kind but tired. She made an impression on you, the old man said. Liam nodded. It was like she saw me in ways even my own people never did. Do you want to speak to her again? Liam didn't even pause. Yes. Well, the old man said, you may get that chance. Liam's heart skipped. What do you mean? There's been a signal, the man replied. From a distant star system. It's encrypted, but the signature matches her neural pattern. Liam leaned forward, eyes wide. She's trying to reach me. Back on Theron, Ziria stood alone on the edge of a platform, staring at the stars. A small device blinked on her wrist, a long-distance communicator, active and waiting. She pressed a button, sent a simple message across the stars, hoping it would reach Earth. Liam, are you still there? In a lab on Earth, a screen blinked. With a new message, Liam stared at it, smiled slowly, and whispered, Yeah, I'm still here. To be continued. On the planet Theron, Ziria's message traveled through deep space, hidden inside a code only one human would understand. She had never sent a signal like this before, but her fingers didn't hesitate. Somewhere in Earth's orbit, that message arrived, blinking on Liam's VR terminal. It was short, simple, and powerful. Liam, are you still there? He stared at the words on the screen for a long time, then typed his reply with a shaking hand. Yes, Ziria, I'm here. I've been waiting. But they weren't the only ones watching. At the Alien Academy, the Council of Theron scientists had split into two sides. Some believed in Ziria's connection with the human. They called it progress, a new way forward. Others called it corruption, saying emotions were clouding her mission. To test it, they created a new plan. We will allow 2 more students to enter the simulation, said the council elder. Let us see if this human bonding is common or a weakness only Ziria carries. So they activated the simulation again, building a fresh world, this time not in a forest, but in a vast city filled with lights, buildings, and confusion. Then they connected Liam once more. He opened his eyes inside the new virtual world, confused but curious. Then he saw her Ziria standing at the end of a long street. He ran to her without thinking, and she smiled when he reached her. I thought I'd never see you again. He said, I didn't know if the message would reach you, she whispered, but I hoped. Before they could say more, two shadows appeared tall, sharp-eyed alien females dressed in glowing suits. Their names were Vale and Nurza, top students from the combat and psychology divisions. Unlike Ziria, they didn't come to understand the human. They came to test him like an animal. Is this the famous human male? Vale said coldly, circling him like a predator. Looks weak, Nurza added, and soft. Liam stepped back, sensing something different in their tone. It wasn't curiosity, it was control. Ziria quickly stood between them. This is Liam, she said firmly. He is not a toy, Vale laughed. You became too close, Ziria. You forgot your role. We will do what you failed to do, Nurza said. Break him and see what's truly inside a human. Before Ziria could stop them, the simulation shifted again. The city dissolved, and Liam was dropped into a dark chamber filled with mirrors. He was alone. Every reflection showed something different, his past failures, his fears, his heartbreaks. The voice of Nurza echoed in the air. Do humans fear being alone? Another mirror showed him as a child, crying in a hospital bed, his mother's voice fading. Do humans break under pressure? Vale's voice added. Liam fell to his knees, breathing hard. The simulation was pulling painful memories straight from his mind. Ziria watched helplessly from the control chamber, her hands shaking. Stop it, she shouted. This wasn't part of the agreement. This is the agreement, the elder replied coldly. You wanted us to understand humans. This is science. Ziria clenched her fists. No, this is cruelty. Inside the nightmare, Liam covered his ears, tried to shut out the voices, but they kept coming, telling him he was nothing, that he was weak, that no alien would ever care about him. Then, just before the simulation could break him, he saw a shimmer of light. Ziria appeared beside him, glowing bright. She had hacked her way into the test, ignoring all warnings. She knelt beside him and whispered, Look at me. Liam lifted his head slowly. His eyes were full of tears, not from pain but from remembering things he had buried long ago. I'm here, she said. I won't let them hurt you. How are you here? He asked, his voice shaking. I broke the rules, she replied softly. Because I care. Suddenly, the dark chamber exploded into light. The mirrors cracked and vanished. The simulation screamed with error codes as Ziria pulled Liam out of the trap. Outside, Vale and Nurza stood frozen. You interfered, Nurza growled. You exposed our methods, Vale added. You betrayed us. No, Ziria said, standing tall beside Liam. I revealed the truth. You wanted to break him, but he held on. He's stronger than any of us thought. Liam stood beside her, now wiping his face but keeping his head high. You don't understand humans, he said to the alien females. We don't run from fear, we live through it. Vale and Nurza vanished from the simulation, their test complete, and failed. Back in the Theron council room, the elders were silent. Some looked ashamed, others thoughtful. Ziria turned to them through the simulation link and said, You sent them to test a human, but he passed your test better than any of us expected. The lead elder finally spoke. Then maybe we judged too fast. Back in the sim, Liam looked at Ziria. Thanks for saving me. I think you saved me first, she replied. They stood together, two different beings from different worlds, bound not by science, but by something far stronger. Trust. To be continued. Ziria sat alone in the dim chamber of the Theron Academy. Her hands rested on her knees, her eyes staring at the glowing floor. She had just broken every rule her people had made. She had hacked into the simulation, interfered with an official test, and saved a human male from emotional destruction. To her instructors, this was betrayal. To Ziria, it was necessary. The door hissed open, and the lead scientist entered. She wore a long robe and a cold expression. You disobeyed a direct order, the woman said. You chose a human's safety over our protocols. Ziria stood, calm but firm. Because the protocols were wrong. You were supposed to study him, not protect him. I learned more by protecting him than I ever did by observing. Ziria replied. And so did he, the scientist frowned. What happens? Now is no longer your decision. She walked away, leaving Ziria in silence. Meanwhile, on Earth, Liam had been taken to a secured underground facility. Government agents had questions, too many. They wanted to know what he had seen, what she had said, and how deep the connection went. But Liam wasn't interested in politics or data. He wanted one thing only. Ziria, sir, an officer said. We've received another signal from the alien source. Liam rushed to the terminal, hoping it was her again. But instead of a message, there was a video of Ziria being questioned by her own people, accused of disobedience. His heart tightened as he watched her stand against them, alone but unshaken. I need to help her, Liam said. She saved me, now it's my turn. You're just a civilian, the officer replied. What could you possibly do? I can show them what being human really means, Liam said. Let me speak to her. Let them see we're not enemies. The government hesitated, but eventually agreed. A one-time connection between Earth and the Theron simulation network was authorized. Inside the alien system, a new world was created. Empty, clean, and neutral. Just a white space with no buildings, no traps, no distractions. Ziria stood at the center, dressed in a plain suit, her eyes filled with uncertainty. Then Liam appeared. He looked around, surprised by the silence. Wow, he said. No flaming forests or creepy mind mirrors this time. Ziria smiled, just a little. I didn't think they would let you in again. Me neither, Liam replied. But I insisted. She walked toward him, every step heavy. They want to punish me, she said softly. For what I did. For what I felt. Liam met her eyes. Then let me speak for you. Ziria looked confused. Why would they listen to you? Because I'm the reason you broke the rules, Liam said. If they hear it from me, maybe they'll understand. A moment later, the space shifted. Holographic windows opened in the air, showing the faces of Theron Council members. All of them watching in silence. Liam stepped forward, nervous but determined. You think she failed her mission, he said. But you're wrong. The aliens remained quiet, so he kept going. She came to observe me, Liam said. But she didn't just see a subject, she saw me, the way no one else ever did. Ziria's hands shook as she listened. Liam continued. She saw my fears, my pain, my past, and instead of using them to hurt me, she stood by me. You sent others to test me like I was a toy, he added. But she saw me as a person. That's not failure, that's understanding. One of the elders leaned forward. And why should we believe your words? Liam took a breath. Because you saw how I reacted. You saw that I never fought her, never feared her. I trusted her. Not because she followed rules, but because she followed her heart. Another elder whispered. But our people do not follow the heart. Then maybe that's what's missing, Liam said. Maybe that's why you don't understand us. Humans aren't perfect, but when we care with everything. Silence. Ziria stepped forward now, standing beside him. What I felt. It was real, she said. And if that makes me unfit to serve, then so be it. The holograms flickered off one by one. The simulation dimmed, and the sky returned to white. Ziria sighed. They will decide soon. Liam looked at her gently. Whatever happens, you didn't fail. You changed something. Ziria nodded. Tears in her eyes. So did you. Suddenly, a new message appeared in the air, flashing with the symbol of the Academy. Connection approved for real-world exchange, Ziria gasped. They accepted it. They're sending someone, Liam read. Someone to Earth. Ziria turned to him. They chose me, didn't they? Liam smiled. I hope so. She touched his hand inside the simulation. Then I'll see you. Not in code, but in real space. And for the first time, their hands didn't glitch, didn't fade, they just held on quietly, to be continued. Ziria stood inside the sleek alien ship as it prepared for departure. Her heart was not calm like the stars outside the window. It pounded loud in her chest. Her fingers touched the smooth metal walls. But her mind was already far away on Earth. She had been chosen. The Theron Council approved a new diplomatic mission. Not because they suddenly believed in humans, but because Ziria made them feel something they had long ignored. They didn't admit she was right, but they allowed her to go. That was enough for now. As the ship activated its silent engines, Ziria sat in the crew pod alone. She wasn't afraid of space travel. She had crossed star systems before, but this journey was different. This one was personal, on Earth. Liam stood on a grassy field just outside a hidden government facility. Security drones hovered in the air. Agents stood by in silence. Cameras were ready. Recording history, Liam didn't care about any of that. His eyes were only locked on the sky above. "She's really coming," he whispered. "You nervous?" One of the agents asked. "Terrified," Liam replied with a grin, but in a good way. A small star appeared above them, growing brighter by the second. The alien vessel shimmered as it slowed down, landing gently on the open field. Wind pushed the grass in all directions as the ship's hatch opened with a soft hiss. Everyone held their breath. Then she stepped out. Ziria stood tall, wearing a dark blue suit lined with silver marks from her academy. Her eyes scanned the human crowd until they found him, Liam, standing a few feet away. Not blinking, not breathing, just watching. He took one slow step forward, then another, until they were standing face to face. "Hi," he said, smiling. Ziria tilted her head slightly. "You look exactly like I remember. You look even more real than I imagined," he said behind them. The agents and scientists watched closely, some whispering, others recording, but the two of them didn't care. "Wasn't sure they'd let you come," Liam said. "They weren't sure either," she replied. "But they saw something in our connection they couldn't deny anymore." "I'm glad you broke the rules," he said. "I'm glad you didn't give up," she answered. They stood in silence for a moment, just letting the wind speak between them. Then Ziria slowly reached out her hand. Liam took it, gently, their fingers locked. Not through code or glowing light, but through touch. It felt warm, real, and full of something neither of them could fully explain. Liam looked at her with a half smile. "So what happens now?" Ziria glanced at the humans around them, then at the ship behind her. "Now we learn from each other, not through simulations, but through life." They were taken inside the facility for processing, scanning, and debriefing. But even when they were placed in different rooms, their eyes found each other through glass windows, sharing silent looks filled with stories. That night, Liam sat on a balcony, staring at the stars. He wondered if everything that happened had been fate or a glitch in the universe that led to something beautiful. Ziria walked quietly onto the balcony and sat beside him. She looked up at the sky, then back at him. "Our species are